When it comes to the media, they help enforce a stereotype that video games are violent. What do they do to help enforce this stereotype? Whenever there's a mass shooting, games are always somewhat related to the topics that they end up talking about. They always post whatever mass murderer is involved in it, and they blast his name on the screen like you see right now, and always have concerns about the violent video games that they play and how it ends up affecting the mass shootings and stuff like that go on. They will put two people on a screen that are newscasters or experts on the topic, and they'll always have them go head to head and debate whether that video games were to blame or anything like that. So, what games are always blamed? Grand Theft Auto is a huge one, and this is because it is a mature game, and it's rated that way for a reason, to where only 17-year-old and older people are supposed to play it. Um, when little kids are playing it, it might have an effect on them, but you really can't blame just the video games for any violence or aggression that they might have. Grand Theft Auto, you're able to run around and steal cars and kill people, and the whole game is revolved around violence and theft. Basically, Grand Theft Auto. It is in the title. And the another one is Call of Duty. This is probably the most popular first-person shooter that has been around for years, many years now, probably since the early 2000s. And it's one where you're always going in and your main primary goal is to kill the other team. You're always going in there trying to kill, trying to kill, trying to kill. This does not mean that it gets programmed into somebody's head that I need to kill somebody. You're never going to equate a video game with real life. And if somebody does that, that is a mental health issue and not a video game issue. The Tom Clancy series is another video game that is almost more realistic. It's a tactical shooter where you're more in the army and you have to break down walls and try and execute missions. And then Fortnite is a very popular one right now, especially with younger kids. It's an easily accessible game that's free to play, so any kid can get on it and play it. And it's a battle royale mode where you're trying to be the last person standing. So you try and shoot and kill everybody else in the game until you're the last person standing. And that's the main goal or accomplishment, is to be that last person. You're always trying to win, and you're always trying to shoot the other people. And this doesn't same. It doesn't program kids to be more aggressive. It's a fun outlet that keeps them out of trouble and off the streets. That's all it is. It's nothing that will make your kids violent or more something leaning towards a mass shooting. That's just not how we work as a society. And then even research on game violence. We've had studies of 3,000 participants that comes to a conclusion that video games do not necessarily increase aggression, which is true. We have so many other things in the world that help or hurt our society and end up with mass shootings or just violence and fighting. And then another study that has said that youth violence rates have actually dropped 29% between 2002 and 2014. And that could be a huge deal because this is when video games became really accessible. This was the point when video games were becoming more realistic, and they were also just becoming more accessible in general. The consoles were becoming cheaper, video games were becoming cheaper. There was more of them to play, and a lot of them involved fighting games, shooting games, and the introduction of online gaming where you can fight with other people and try and kill other people. But since there's been this drop, I believe video games have actually helped stop some of this aggression, stop some of this violence, just because it keeps kids off the streets and it keeps them doing something else. Like, video games have more of a benefit than a drawback to them. Thank you. That's my section.